Guys, it is no news that this has been a hard time for all of us. Like any global story, coronavirus has now become a part of a daily vocabulary. So, how do we really keep up our spirits during this time? When this entire crisis started off, a lot of people were speculating on Twitter whether there is any correlation between corona beer and coronavirus. This is how Corona Beer chose to respond on Twitter. So, Corona, like many other large companies, chose to use humor to address this pertinent issue that could have had a negative impact on their brand. And we all sometimes turn to laughter during challenging times because laughter activates the neurobiological signals of our brain that are associated with joy and happiness. Now, that brings us to the theme of today, which is called Laughter Therapy Finding Humor in Crisis. So, to talk to you, I have a very talented, funny, and super intelligent stand up comedian who has had her own show on Amazon Prime called Almost Sanskari and has also been a part of a very popular TV series called Comic Stan. So, please welcome Neeti Palta.
Holding his head going, Namo, इतनी अच्छी नौकरी लग गई, अब तो सेटल हो जा.
Started out like this, they've ended up like that.
I say that a woman without a child is considered incomplete, whereas all a man has to do to be complete is wear Raymonds.
Neeti, hi, welcome to Zen Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So, Neeti, I've seen your stand-up special, Almost Sanskari, and a lot of your YouTube videos, and I'm a big fan of your work. And interestingly, you went from being a senior creative director in advertising to a renowned stand-up comedian. I'd love to know a little more about how that happened.
Actually, funnily enough, my dad considers it a regression in career graph. It started out with advertising, and it took time to get to senior creative director with J. Walter Thompson, which is one of India's biggest ad agencies, and I was on the Pepsi account, which is one of the most coveted accounts. From there, I just had a chance to meet people who had come in from Sesame US, and they were looking for launching Sesame Street in India. And they were looking to put together a team. I don't know how happened to my boss from JWT told me, why don't you check this out? Go there, fall in love with Muppets, fall in love with the writing process. Next, I quit J. Walter Thompson to join a small production house to write for Sesame Street. And from there, I do seasons of that. And then I kind of just stumble upon stand-up. At that time, I remember I was a big fan of this show called Whose Line Is It Anyway? It was that improv show, US improv show, and Colin Mockery and Brad Sherwood were coming to India for the first time and performing. So I went for the show and I was volunteering for practically every round, and they finally couldn't ignore me anymore, and they took me for one round, and which was a sound effects round where you produce sound effects for whatever scene they're enacting. And I had such a ball on stage that they were like, hey, you should try stand-up. And I got lucky because I didn't even know stand-up existed in India, in that format. And there were, at that time, only open mics happening, which had just started to happen in Delhi. And there was this outfit, Cheese Monkey Mafia. There were people there from that outfit who were like, why don't you come check out the scene? So I went that Sunday, saw it, liked it. I think next week I was trying out my hand at stand-up and just fell in love, man.
It's amazing. So, Neeti, in India, and at that time when you started, this was a relatively new space to be in. So you left your full-time 9 to 5 job to get into stand-up, and which was a very unstructured career to be a part of. And today we are talking about finding humor in crisis. So tell me, how difficult was that phase for you, and how did people react to that decision of yours?
I can tell you for sure that people at home didn't react that well. My dad was a career Fauji. He's retired now, and he's been in the army all his life. So for him, this idea of jumping professions makes zero sense, and that too not upward, according to him, downward leaps. It's like, why you like in the reverse gear of your career graph? And because each time you have to be like, but dad, I love this, this is good. And Sesame Street tak to theek tha because it was still educational, it still involved me being a writer. And then this happened, and he was like, stand up, because parents don't understand stand up. In his head, that involved me wearing weird costumes and going hey hey like that. You know how Indian humor comedy. I was like, no, not quite. What? So it took me a year of sneaking around before I invited them for my first stage show. And I was a part of a lineup show, and suddenly he was like, "Acha, ye hota hai stand up," but it was respectable. So then it was a little more accepted, I think.
That's amazing. You know, in your stand-up special on Almost Sanskari, you shared some really interesting observation stories about your life and the world at large. And of course, you are sitting in Delhi right now. I'm sitting in Bombay, and there is a lockdown going on. Uh, Tell me, what are the most absurd things that you find people doing during this lockdown?
So okay, I have seen the way they wear their mask. Okay, I remember I had to buy something for the house recently, and like my neck was hurting. I needed a pillow and stuff. I went to the mall after having seen a documentary on how safe they've made it and all. Like you walk through a tunnel of sanitizer and all. After having done my research, I go there. I'm waiting in queue. It's not a lot of people. I'm feeling reassured. This jackass in front of me takes off his mask and goes, achoo.
What?
I was so annoyed. I was like, why did you take it off to like spray the world? Like, thanks for your generosity, but no thanks. So they do silly things like that. You've seen people, they're like, they feel, oh, government का उल्लू बनाया, हम तो निकल रहे हैं लॉकडाउन में, तुम अपना उल्लू बना रहे हो दोस्त. They are not going to fall sick, you are. So I don't get that mentality. The other thing is, because people have free time on their hands, I would imagine, right now would be a time for, introspection. I know I'm being extra kind to people around me. Because everyone is going through a bad spot. I don't think anybody is having a gala time. And uske beech mein, the number of nasty comments people are leaving to any post you put up, and you're like, really, you still want to be mean, like you've nothing better to do. Then I'm like, okay, maybe they're just venting their frustration. Chalo nikalo, koi nahi. I don't understand this.
But so, Neeti, like you said, लोगों के पास बहुत समय है at this point in time. People have a lot of time to, troll other people because obviously lack of things to do. And I'm sure in your profession, since you are in the public eye, you are prone to receive a lot of trolling. How do you really deal with such negativity and hate?
Okay, so honestly, I had made it a policy not to respond to trolls, because rule number one is a troll because they're seeking attention. So don't give it to them. That's the best. Take away that power. But I also have a lot of free time on my hands nowadays. So once in a blue moon, I'll actually react to the troll. Like recently, I wrote something about Patanjali's claim of having come up with a cure for COVID. And I'm like, that's really irresponsible. You don't have government clearances. The Ayush, this thing hasn't cleared you. You can't make claims like that. Also, because it was worrisome, because I was hearing people saying, हाँ अब तो हम बाहर जा सकते हैं, पतंजलि ने क्योर निकाल दिया. I'm like, no. So it bothered me. So I put out something saying कि like Prime Minister said, make in India, and Patanjali says they've made this drug, बना तो रहे हैं. So everybody understood what I was saying. This one guy got into this trip of how can you talk against Ayurveda, and how can you, like joke against culture and all. So I got very annoyed. I get really annoyed at very unfair statements like that. So I actually took time and trouble to go and check out his profile. And then I responded. So I was like, firstly, I am not against Ayurveda because my mom is a healer herself. And so I was like, I'm just pointing out suspicious activity by a company that already has suspect products, as has been, declared in the past. Secondly, as for being against culture and against whatever nation, I read your bio, which says Indian, Singaporean, American.
Oh, that's confused.
Why don't you come back here, bring your education with you, and try and make a difference here and leave your negativity behind. So this is like
Wow.
responding to trolls.
So it's like lohe ko loha katta hai,
No, it's so annoying. You're sitting somewhere else and you're telling me about being nationalistic. Excuse me.
Wow. So it sounds like it's like a daily affair, where people, tend to troll you. And it really requires guts to, be in the profession that you are in.
Extremely weird. My parents got a little like, listen, don't get into any government policies, don't criticize any government, don't criticize any political leader. People are like, nowadays, they'll come to your house. You know how parents are, they would worry. Now, I recently, because the government had banned certain apps, all I wrote was, I understand the sentiment behind banning it, but I do feel bad for Indian TikTokers who
Yeah.
work really hard, and they've got this, because I know how hard it is to create content, get your followers going. It takes a lot of effort, and these are a lot of people from tier 2, tier 3 cities, and I feel really good that good talent is coming out and stuff. So I just put out a sympathy tweet saying, dude, I feel bad for these guys also. Uske upar anti national, anti what's going on out here? So
So these are the kids who probably have their profiles on TikTok, and it sounds like an irony. Crazy. so, so maybe coming back to humor in crisis, it's during tough times like these, that people turn towards art and comedy. Like I'll tell you, I remember watching a video where it said that people really looked up to this comedian Bob Hope during the World War II,
yeah.
and he was able to make soldiers lift their spirits through his jokes because, and which was starkly contrasted by the feelings that they experienced while at war, like depression and homesickness. Now, Neeti, your profession is also like God's work because today, during difficult times, people really look up to you for those little peals of laughter, right? So, how do you look at your work contributing to this?
Firstly, I'm going to tell my parents you said God's work so that I'm treated better at home. But actually, recently I did a crowd work show, and I did tell them that, guys, put feedback because it was my very first crowd work show, that too on a new platform like Zoom. And I was like, okay, do give me feedback. And the number of people who wrote such lovely comments, I was expecting they're boring, usual. They were like so sweet. They were like, a midweek jollies. Oh, thank you. Today was your show was the first time I smiled today. And typically, crowd work show is where you talk to the audience. And like I asked one of the people, like, what is a crowd work show? They're like, oh, when you pick apart somebody. But I'm not a picker apart somehow. I like chatting with people. So I basically just chatted with them. And I was sharing my experiences of lockdown. I was asking them their experiences. That give take kind of a show. The number of people who said, listen, it was such a stress buster. Thank you for keeping it positive. Thank you for not crying about the lockdown, or at least making us laugh about it. And I felt good about it because, that's how I deal with my stress. I convert them into jokes.
That's, that's amazing, right? Like rather than dwelling into that space of negativity, you're really actually taking them away from it. And I think that's a cool job to have. So, Neeti, do you think tragedy and comedy go hand in hand? I'll tell you why I'm asking you this. Because, we've seen satirists, they've created the best work out of tragedies, right? And at a macro level, do you see a comic pattern amidst these tragedies?
I think they absolutely go hand in hand, because it's when I'm upset about something that I can write about it, come up with jokes. In fact, a lot of times a joke will offend because people recognize the truth in the statement. Like, if it wasn't true, it wouldn't hurt you. So somewhere I think tragedy and comedy very much go hand in hand. There were things that have bothered me on a social level, and I've spoken about them in my comedy. Like, even in my special, you would have heard how the onus to have a child is only upon the female and never on the male. So there are things that have bothered me that I've put out in my comedy. They very much are, I think, choli daman ka saath, as they say.
So, maybe, is there any particular comedian that you really look up to at this point?
I look up to a lot. In fact, Indian comics also, there are a lot of them. Like, I love Varun Grover's stuff. Political comedy in a very smart, intelligent way. I love comedy. I like Zakir Khan. No one can tell a story like Zakir Khan. Everybody connects with him. Everybody from, unfortunately, my dad is the youngest of audiences. I keep telling Zakir that now your jokes are not jokes; they are fundas of life. That's real comedy for me. I love it.
It's like every video has 5 taglines to be put on a t-shirt.
Yeah, and it's genuinely a philosophy of life that he's giving you, an approach to life, a way to look at a situation. If you dig deep beyond the joke, you will find that.
Yeah, absolutely, Neeti. So, Neeti, tell me, in your career, we all say that it's a new normal. It's an overused and abused word right now. But going forward, where do you see yourself? What is the mark that you want to create?
Well, firstly, I refuse to agree with the statement that this is the new normal, because there's nothing normal about this situation. I say this is the new abnormal, and things will get back to normal soon enough. That is what I truly believe in, and that's what I've been telling everybody I talk to, that this too shall pass. And maybe COVID is here to stay, but so were so many other diseases that we never knew about. We just got used to it, and we got used to living with it, right? We as a human, as a race, human beings adapt, right, to anything. We've adapted to malaria, we've adapted to AIDS. The only thing we don't seem to be able to adapt to is someone having a differing opinion. So, but this is not the new normal, and I feel that I will get back to a normal life. I would like to say I'll be a changed person. I will have more depth to me, but honestly, we are all shallow. 3-4 mahina we'll be all whatever about it, and then we'll forget. We'll move on and carry on as usual, man. I really don't know how much of a changed personality I'm going to be. Very honestly.
That's a very interesting take. So in your journey, I'm sure you have had a lot of ups and downs. Considering the career you are in. Can you share some tips or something that you've learned from your own life with all of us?
See, one life lesson that I've learned totally is that you can't please all of the people all of the time, right? So initially, I remember a lot of self-doubt. Even now, my biggest foe, my biggest enemy is self-doubt. What I struggle most with is myself. So half the time, my motivation to myself is, look, they can't say or do anything worse to you than you do to yourself anyway. So, and you are answerable to you. You're not answerable to them. So as long as I can do jokes in the room, I can do those jokes in front of anybody. So that's my little moral compass right there. And like I said, there is always an element of truth to every joke I utter. Whether it's sarcastic, done sarcastically, tongue-in-cheek, whichever way, it's always based on something, either a life's experience or someone else's experience or something I've observed. So how can you tell me I'm wrong? Because I've seen it happen. So
yeah, and that's something that I see in your stand-up special as well. Your ability to observe and bring out these nuances in a very beautiful way, and that's something that I really admire about you, Neeti. Now,
record this conversation, please. Yes.
You'll send it to your dad, okay? All right. So, my last question to you, Neeti. I work with a lot of senior executives in the corporate, and you've been a part of the corporate world too. People come and tell me that, I wish I could loosen up, crack some jokes, tell some stories, come across interesting to people. Now, could you, share some tips as to how people can really find that inner storyteller, inner comedian in them?
I think everyone has one. That's the secret one. I discovered this in the lockdown because every time I wanted to talk about a subject, someone had already made a meme about it, or there was already a WhatsApp joke floating about. And I was like, people have understood the formula to being a comedian. Frustration plus free time is equals to comedian.
Wow, that's like a proper t-shirt line now.
But everyone has experiences, like, whatever you've shared when you stand in a group of friends and you tell them that experience. The only rule of storytelling is you have to make them feel what you felt, make them visualize what you felt. And I think that's pretty much it. Although a lot of
Wow.
stories end up with, you should have been there. Yeah, it was funnier in my head.
that's that's crazy. I mean, so Neeti, first of all, thank you so much for being a part of this show, Zen Talks, and I loved the way you share your story so authentically, and you have such a tongue-in-cheek response to everything around you. I wish all of us could borrow that from you. So thank you very much for being a part of this. So guys, make sure you catch Neeti on her YouTube channel and also watch her super entertaining stand-up special, Almost Sanskari. You will love it just as I did.
Thank you so much.